Greetings and salutations. Welcome to Ref the District, episode 119. I'm Nathan. That's the Stoner, and that's Trev, back after kind of a week and a half hiatus. You did join us for the draft party for a little bit, so but it's always good having you on. You missed Logan Paulson from last week. Absolutely blast to have him on, Logan.
Show guy. Good job.
Well, Logan shared the same sentiments. He was just like, it was an awesome show, loved being on, want to come back on again. So we're going to have to get Logan Paulson back on sometime soon before the season starts, because there is a lot to talk about. In fact, there's a lot to talk about today as we stream live every Wednesday here on YouTube, Twitter, and Facebook. Wherever you're at, make sure that you hit that like button, subscribe to the channel as well if you could, please. It's free to do that. But here on episode 119, that will be available in audio form shortly after the show posts. We're going to be talking about what's next. 2023 draft is in the books. We have undrafted free agents. The guys are there in Ashburn working out. So what's next for the team? That's going to come in the cool down. For the game, we are going to go over that draft class. Maybe you've seen our rankings. A lot of people, by the way, Stoner and Trev, were very unhappy with particularly my comment, B is for boring. I know for a fact some people would be happy with a B in school, so let's cool our gibbers a little bit on that one. Okay. A B is a solid grade to get for the draft class. We're going to be going over that draft class, but if you happen to see our video, we did rank them or grade them. We're not really going to grade them here, although we'll get Trev's grading on it. We're just going to be talking about the individual picks there. And then here in the warm-up, Jason Wright's been doing the media gauntlet. He was on CBS Business. He was on the Pat McAfee show for the brand there a little bit, and some kind of neat nuggets there that we're going to be talking about, including something Front Office Sports had just tweeted out not too long ago on the stadium sale. Trev, I know you do not miss Pat's show at all. What did you think of Jason Wright getting out there and doing his thing on the Pat McAfee show?
He sounded like an owner that was confident in his job, or sorry, a president that was confident in his job and what he's done for an organization, NFL. He was providing us information that we've all been kind of wanting to know about, I guess, a little bit without spoiling it before, it can actually be spoiled. I thought he did great. That was a few days ago, so I kind of can't quite remember what he said word for word, but he just sounds like he's ready to go, super confident, and he's welcoming the change that's about to happen. So I'm ready to go.
I'm excited for it too, and I know he's excited for it, and it certainly feels like, at least from what he's been saying, certainly feels like he's going to continue on post transition. Who knows for how long, but at least in the interim, because he's getting out there and he's saying some things that are a little bit putting Dan and Tanya in a bad light without saying it directly.
Sure.
But he's saying all the things like, we're doing things different. We're better at this. It's going to be great. We're going to change everything, without saying, because before it was terrible. That's what
he also said that he's like filling in for Dan and Tanya when they can't be there. Like, he's the one that's what is running the show on their end. So he's the right hand man. So he's pretty much.
That was pretty interesting to hear that he was going to the one rep meetings.
Yeah,
and normally that's for the owners, and him getting to be there is pretty awesome for him. I agree with both you guys' sentiment there. This is both that interview and the business interview. Those did not sound like a guy who was about to lose his job.
Right.
This is a guy who's planning ahead. Stoner mentioning a little bit about the blame game, right? He's very, very professional. Jason Wright is. If you're reading between the lines, like, he's trying to pin it on kind of like the media pushing out a bad story and everything, but we all know why those bad stories are happening. And so it was kind of an interesting thing, and kind of shut down some of the name changes or the uniform changes, so people don't expect that right out the gates. one of the things that we can expect is potentially closing in on a stadium deal. Front Office Sports tweeted out not too long ago that kind of pointing out the fact that under Dan Snyder, he was unable to get anyone to play ball. In fact, everybody was taking the ball and going home. Virginia, Maryland, and DC said, nope, you're not going to make or build a stadium here. Now that new ownership is looking to be in place, now all of a sudden Maryland, Virginia, and DC are all fighting to get the new stadium deal and have Washington come to too.
And if that's the case, then that stadium better not come out of our pockets, or at least not a majority of it, like it is with a lot of other stadiums. If there are 3 jurisdictions that are fighting to get the stadium, then whoever is making those decisions eventually, the new owner, whoever he has in charge of that, better make it so that we as taxpayers don't have so much of the load, which of course it's going to come out of our pocket. If it doesn't come out of our pocket in taxes, it's going to come out of our pocket when we go to the games, because they're going to just increase the prices and all. But those billionaire owners should actually be the ones fronting 90% of the money. Of course, they wouldn't be billionaire owners if they were fronting 90% of the money for stadiums. So it's a little bit of a catch-22. But if we have a choice of where that stadium is going to be, I think we're all in agreement that we want to see it back at the old RFK.
Yeah.
I mean, if not RFK, it's got to be DC. It's got to be closer. If I just feel like that's like the when you're watching the team on broadcast, right? The pans over to the national mall area, like it just doesn't feel as natural when you're talking about the FedEx area, or if you're talking about going down 95 and putting it in deep Virginia area, like that doesn't feel DC enough. It's kind of like when we have those conversations about what is the DMV, and you want it to be close to the National Mall. That RFK site's wonderful. If it's in the National Harbor, I think that's a reasonable site as well. But
that's not DC either.
No, it's not. That is a Maryland site. But it is just like you can literally see, the mall. You can see the Washington Monument and stuff from there. But it depends on where they're able to build it, because if they build it too far in, then you wouldn't be able to. Plus, getting there is a little bit more of a pain than RFK. RFK has a great option on the metro. So
yeah, there's no metro that goes out to National Harbor right now. They just have bus links. That's not going to work. They had bus links to FedEx, and that's not the best thing either. So public transportation is a huge deal to be able to secure a spot, I think. So that's where they got to build it, because even if, let's just say they decide National Harbor area, and they say, well, we're going to expand the metro to go out there. Well, that metro is going to take longer than it is to build the stadium. So I love the idea of having it at National Harbor, but I just don't think it's feasible. RFK, that's the one for me. But I also thought one of the other things that Jason said that I found really, really interesting is he said that they sold a week's worth of season tickets, suites. They sold a year's worth in a week after the announcement was made that Washington was going to be changing owners, that Dan had agreed to terms. I think it was when he said he's going to sell the team, when they had hired Bank of America to decide who's going to handle all the offers. They sold a year's worth of suites in 1 week. And you can't tell me, at least for this year, you can't tell me that FedEx is not going to be rocking.
Oh, it's going to be rocking
until the team starts playing bad, if that happens.
Yeah, they still have to win. They still have to win, but I do think if the sale is finalized before week one, week one is going to be
it's going to be insane.
A blowout party. Like it's going to be absolutely insane. And that's what we want, right? That's what we want as fans, is we want people back in the stadium. We want people I want to see more burgundy. I want to hear chants of our team, not the opposing team. No go pack goes, no fly eagle fly type nonsense.
Terrible towels. Pittsburgh comes in. It drives me crazy.
I mean, yeah, even around here, it's already starting to happen. People are, instead of saying like, oh, that's because you got Dan Snyder, people are now saying, hey, you guys get a new owner now. So like once that happens, then what can they say? Like, you know what I mean? It's like, oh, you guys suck because, well, you've had Dan Snyder name for 30 years. But now when we have a new ownership, it's going to be like, what's the first, what are you going to lead off to saying with now, instead of saying, well, you know, Dan Snyder wasn't there, you could draft somebody, or if Dan Snyder wasn't there, you got a new owner coming in. It's already starting to happen, and the sale hasn't even been final yet. So
I was gonna save this for after the show, like just the three of us talking afterwards, but hey, we're out here and let's bring it out. But
do it.
We have to be there tailgating and doing a live show for week 1.
Well, yeah.
We just have to. I mean, we got Trev out in Lexington.
Yep.
Nathan's going to be in Oklahoma. I might be in Asia somewhere at that time, but we've somehow got to come together for week 1 at FedEx and do a live show or live ref the district and tailgate because it's going to be
epic.
It's going to be, as the kids say, it's going to be a movie.
Yes, right? It is going to be a movie.
I mean, it's going to be.
It would be outstanding.
Again, you're going to have the whole Sam Howell effect, whatever that turns out to be at the end of training camp. You're going to have the Eric Bieniemy. You're going to have the new owners. You're going to have, if they're smart, they probably should do like a Sunday Night Football for week 1.
That'd be
against the Eagles, or, you know, something big that's going to bring in a ton of fans. You don't want to do it, you know, week 1 against the Falcons or something. I mean, Falcon fans are fine, but they're not.
It's a whole new year this year.
I think it'd be risky to do it with like the Eagles or the Cowboys or the Giants, even just because of how we know those fans travel. Like,
but the NFL doesn't care about that.
That's true.
The NFL
they
just cares about the
seats
hype
being sold and the hype.
That. But yeah, I think we got to do it. Week 1, we're just going to have to be there doing a live show and tailgating because it's going to be a movie.
Okay.
I don't even know what that means, but that's what all the kids say. It's going to be a movie.
Memorable. Like, you never forget movies.
Yeah.
Like,
okay. I mean, I
definitely
forget movies all the time.
Stoner's favorite movie, Tree of Life, everyone, just in case you ever want to give him a gift. That's
ever.
an inside joke. Moving on from that, is there any other comments from the Jason Wright interviews that you guys kind of honed in on and thought was worthwhile to talk about?
Not really. It's just that he's earning himself a bag if he's not going to be with the organization after this year or next 2 years. I think he's earned himself a bag just like a football player would do. You know, maybe you can go do a team and do a culture change somewhere else, or be a part of somebody else trying to rebuild or reorganize. So
something within the NFL, maybe in the front offices of the NFL. But
he was kind of a NFL front office hire. Kind of pushed on to Dan. And
I mean, think about it. If we could get Dan Snyder to sell, and a whole
that was, I think Gus Bus's comment there was if nothing else, Jason just needs to tell everybody he was the one who convinced Dan to sell, and then there you go. That earns you a job pretty much anywhere. Like if you can convince Dan Snyder to sell his team,
might get you a wire hanger statue
go to the White House
or something.
Run for president.
Nice call out there. Yeah, no, Jason Wright sounds like he's going to stay on, probably going to stay on a lot for the stadium deal, right? Probably that's the reason why he's going to stay on. That's one of the reasons why he was brought in. And it sounds like at this point, if he does not stay with the new ownership, it's going to be one of those mutual decisions to part ways instead of he's been fired type deal. So it'll be interesting to see how all that plays out. But that's all in the future. We're about to talk about the past here, but this was brought to you by Don't Sleep Energy. Use the code REFTHEDISTRICT. Get yourself 10% off your entire order at don'tsleepenergy.com. We appreciate everybody jumping in the chat already. Sorry we didn't do this earlier, but we got Gus Bus, TJ, Yam in the house. P4 is back. Redskin 007. Joshua is here as well. EP, Billy here on YouTube. Doug as well. We appreciate Michael making all these comments. And so this is Michael. It's true. All I ask is be good or bad. Don't be mediocre. And I think this was a good draft, even if people think a B is a bad grade. All that's coming up here on the 2023 draft class.
The game is brought to you by Pacers Running Stores. Pacers has 5 stores in Northern Virginia and DC. For the best running footwear, apparel, and gear, just stop by or schedule a virtual fitting with the best running experts in the business. Pacers Running exists to help as many people as possible through running. For every run, it's Pacers Running.
Pacers Runnings, they've got you covered for everything. And I'm assuming Stoner just literally ran off the screen. He's got to be in his Pacers Running shoes as well. You can get a virtual fitting or hit up one of their stores. They'll get you in the right pair of shoes. Great group of people, local DC, DMV stores. So that's what you want to do. That's what you want to do is support your local people there. Not sure what's happening with Stoner. I have a feeling this is going to be a bit, though.
Is it a
Trav?
bit?
That are the old man bladder hit him or something.
Or time to feed the dog? Was that what it was?
Yeah, time to feed Sparty.
Sorry, that was unavoidable. I apologize, but I'm sorry. Inside, behind the scenes, pull back the curtain. I had to pee. I'm sorry.
I was about to say old man bladder. Old man bladder is what hit. So you could tell right before we hit the ad break there that he was ready to run, and then he disappeared, and I was just like, all right, is this gonna be I thought it was going to be a bit. It wasn't a bit at all.
No.
2023 draft class is in the books, and Stoner, you and I have given our kind of overall grade for it. I want Trev your grade before we get into going over some of these players that Washington picked up.
My overall grade would probably be a B to a C. A B because it seems like we drafted according to position needs, roster needs, team building needs. We didn't go for the sexy names that much. And that's why I lead to a C is because we drafted a lot of we'll see, maybes. I'm going to
let you get it all out, Trev, but I got to challenge a bunch of what you've already said. But go ahead.
It's not always about being sexy in the draft and drafting the biggest name, but also it's like, all right, well, you go through the whole offseason before leading up to the draft, discussing what you need. You kind of address it during free agency, but you still want to address it in the draft because you didn't in the free agency. And then you don't address it in the draft until late or barely at all, when you could get, like, I don't know, maybe some higher caliber players at that position rather than selling for a 7th round or an undrafted free agent. I don't know. It's just kind of weird how we're told what we're looking to do in the draft, and then we kind of go completely opposite, or maybe, I don't know, it's just the smoke could maybe think we're going completely opposite, but it's just, not a very we nailed the first round, the second round, third round, like the Eagles, for example, or the Steelers or the Lions, even they nailed their draft. Teams that were either trying to make the playoffs or going to the Super Bowl already there. So I don't know. A B because we filled our needs, but C was like, we'll see if they're going to work out or not. So.
Yeah, and a lot of drafts are that way, right? You just don't know. Even the ones that you might give a bad grade to, you still have kind of like this where you're going to have to wait and see to see how it pans out. So unless you completely go sideways, there's always some room to flex there. Now, we did ask people on our community channel, and I'm going to ask here on the live channel as well. Go ahead and put in your grade and how you feel like how the Commanders did overall this draft class. And as we have some streaming in here, I'm going to read some of the comments from when we asked fans this. Evan gave them an A-. Not a fan of them, but I watched Forbes all throughout college. They got the best corner in the class. We got 1418 Phillips saying Stromberg's probably going to be a center. James with a C+, King J A-, TK at a D-. Not happy with the draft overall. Indian Lake, Ohio said compared to other teams, not good. And Little Sonny said B+. Gus Bus, I think you put up here. Yes, you did. You said B is a bad grade when 1/3 of the league gets A's. Mm-hmm. I have a hard time with this. This is malarkey when it comes to kind of the grades that people hand out. If you're trying to say somebody had an A+ draft, Well, I get that each team has different needs, and it's possible multiple teams can have an A. But if 2/3 or 1/3 of the league ends up with an A, I feel like that's disingenuous. Not everybody can come out with an A. That's just to me. I feel like that's an impossible standard to have. Now, it's not necessarily like you only have a quota to hit as far as how many teams can get an A, how many can get a B. But a B is a solid grade, I think, for a team to get in a draft. That means that they went after some needs. That means that they have some room to grow. Maybe they took a player that you weren't expecting, maybe a little higher in some cases. But I mean, we're not exactly the team that drafted a running back with the 8th pick, right? We're not a team
Nothing sexy
that got Amir Gibbs at 12. Yeah, those are big splash. There are scary splashes. There's also a devalued position. And yeah, a lot of people thought Christian Gonzalez would have been the pick there with the first pick at 16, or the potential to trade back. They got Emmanuel Forbes, and I tell you what, the more and more I'm looking at this, the more and more I'm happy, and that's going to be a little bit with a lot of these players. Now, part of that is, I'm looking at positives as I start to pick them apart. But Emmanuel Forbes, I think, was the most solid pick at 16 that the team could have gone with.
Nathan, you sat and thought about it a little while, and you're liking the draft even more. Trev gave it a B, maybe a C. So let's say maybe a B minus, C plus.
Yeah.
I've thought about it quite a bit, and I've listened and watched and researched and all that.
Oh, no.
Can I tell you something? I've changed my grade.
You were at a B minus to start.
I was at a B minus.
Okay.
I've changed my grade, and I'm going to tell you why, but I'm going to tell you what my new grade is. I give this draft a D plus. A D is in dog. And I'm going to tell you why. And of course, nobody knows anything. I don't know anything in terms of how these players are going to pan out.
All right.
But I get paid to make opinions. So I'm going to give you an opinion. And my opinion is that this was not a good draft, and here's why. When we looked at the offseason, when we got to the offseason, what was our biggest need, our most glaring need? The offseason. And I'm not just talking about the draft. I'm just talking about overall. What did everybody complain about the most?
Linebacker?
No, linebacker is such not a need. I would have gone. Lineman? I would have gone offensive line.
Offensive line was the biggest thing that everybody said. It didn't matter if you put Carson back there or Heineke back there or Howell back there. They were running for their lives all season long because this line was not good. And so I'm going to throw some stats out at you.
Okay.
Do what you want with the stats. Okay. You can say, well, those are just dumb stats. They're not even that in depth or whatever. But the NFL uses yards per game as their what they use as their measurement. Okay. Offensively, Washington was 20th on offense for total yards. 20th, bottom third of the league.
Yeah.
Passing the ball, they were 21st. Running the ball, they were 12th. Not terrible.
Okay.
Points per game, 18.9 points per game. They were 24th in the league. There were only 8 teams
offense
worse
was pretty bad
than they were. The offense was horrible, and everybody blamed the offensive line. That was the biggest need. Maybe you can say quarterback. Maybe you can say Scott Turner.
Quarterback was abysmal.
That's awful. Some weak NBA players average more points than that.
So what does Washington do? Washington goes into the offseason, and they pick up 2 below average linemen. By every metric that you look at, Andrew Wiley and Nick Gates are below average linemen. They're different linemen than what this team has had.
I don't know. Okay.
Wiley gave up 9 sacks and 49 pressures last year.
And has a Super Bowl. I'm listening.
Which was 3rd worst in the league, in the entire league for tackles. 9 sacks. One guy.
Mm-hmm.
That's a lot.
Mm-hmm.
At the end of the year, when you looked at their grades, this is, again, it's PFF. You could say PFF is, they're terrible, whatever. It's still a metric. It's a certain metric that they use. This is what they said about Kansas City's offensive line. Wiley allowed 9 sacks and 49 pressures. His spot is an obvious area for KC to upgrade in 2023. They wanted Wiley out with the quickness because he wasn't good enough. Then you talk about Nick Gates. Fine, he had some injuries. And last year he came back and he played 10 games. He only started like 3. And after those 3 games he started, he didn't start anymore. He didn't even play all the games anymore. Why? Was he not good enough? Was he still feeling the effects of the injury? Not good enough. Whatever it was, he's coming over here now.
Yeah,
you
baby.
signed 2 offensive linemen. You got 3 starters coming back. Chase Rouillet, Charles Leno, and Sam Cosme. You drafted 2 offensive linemen in the 3rd and the 4th round.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
They're not even projected to be starters. So
Stromberg
a terrible offensive line, you got 3 guys coming back. You got 2 in free agency and 2 in the draft, and you still don't know who is starting at left guard? Who's starting at left guard?
No one knows yet. We still got OTAs and stuff. There's time
Right.
to get cut.
It's still
If
early.
offensive line,
It's time
go
to get
out
cut.
and get yourself a freaking starter at left guard. And if you want to say the 2nd round is too early to take Osiris Torrance, who was graded as a 1st rounder, who was there for you in the 2nd round.
Now we've got to the crux of it all there, Trev.
I'm just
He,
using
he,
him.
he wants the Gator.
Why didn't you get Cody Mark, who was there, who went right after you, after you picked up a corner? Offense was the problem, Trev, with this team last year.
Mm-hmm.
Defensively, they were the 3rd ranked defense in the entire NFL. Their points per game, they were 7th. Against the run, they were 11th, and against the pass, they were 4th.
Yeah. I think some of those numbers are going to be misleading. I'm not sure what you're basing off on the 4th. What is it? Yards per game is what you're going on.
That's what the NFL uses when they rank teams.
That's
what they use.
That's an awful way to.
How many did you lose? How many defensive backs did you lose this year?
I agree that offensive line was a high priority.
0
I like
you
the
lost Bobby
offensive line.
McCain.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Okay, so you want to replace him? Great. You want to say Emmanuel Forbes is the best cover guy at 16? Fine, take him. But do you know what Ron Rivera said about Quan Martin? He said he's really good at a lot of stuff. He's not great at anything. In the 2nd round, you took a guy who's not great at anything, and you took him at a position where your defense was ranked 4th against the pass.
Don't listen to Coach speak. They railed Jamin Davis last year, and he turned out pretty darn good. Back to the offense, Stoner. I'm going to give a shout out to JP Finley for this information here. Part of the reason why they were so bad last year was quarterback play. Wentz and Heineke last year averaged about 210 yards per game with 23 passing touchdowns combined. Mm-hmm. They also turned it over way too much, 15 combined interceptions, another 13 fumbles.
And that brings me to my next point, Nathan. Sam Howell is the answer to everybody's prayers. Sam Howell is the answer. All of a sudden, all those offensive line problems are all going to be fixed because of Sam Howell.
Yeah.
Do you know how many of these other teams and their fans look at Washington and laugh that we're putting all of our eggs in the Sam Howell basket?
Well, who the hell else do you want to put out there? Jacoby Brissett?
No. But I'm saying do things to help Sam Howell. Your offense was the problem. Get him some real offensive lineman help. Get him a tight end. We all know about the tight end position.
Yeah, they love the room.
Give them some help. Didn't Michael Mayer? No, I think Mayer went before in the second.
No, he didn't.
In the second round.
Oh yeah,
In the second round. I'm not saying draft one in the first round. But they didn't give any help in this offseason to their glaring weakness. And they didn't do it in the draft, and that's why I dropped it. You drafted a guy in the 3rd and the 4th round, and they're just going to be rotation backups. Why are you not drafting guys that are going to be starters to help the worst part of the team? EB is not some savior either, that he's just going to come in and fix everything.
They are definitely banking a lot on Sam Howell playing better at QB than the combination last year. They're banking a lot on EB being able to improve this offense. And I just want to point out that Wiley did win a Super Bowl ring and did not give up a sack to the vaunted Philadelphia Eagles record-setting defensive line during that Super Bowl game.
Wah, wee, woo.
I'm just saying.
Do it over the course of the season,
okay,
which he did not do. He did not do it over.
And Kansas City has proven this. You can win with an average offensive line. I get that you're having a little bit of flashbacks from Andrew Norwell and who was the other guy that was signed last year? Trey Turner.
Yeah, they both gone.
You know, I get that you're having flashbacks. You know, when we signed them, we're like, hey, these are quality, decent, you guys. Maybe they can be coached up. We were so high on offensive line coaching, and everything was going to be all right. I get being down on these particular pickups. Gates is probably going to be the guy who's just kind of filling a gap wherever he can fill a gap. Stromberg absolutely could be our starting center here because Chase Roulier could just be a cap casualty.
He probably will be. He probably will, which Norwell's going to get cut. He's still under contract.
Yeah.
But yeah, Chase Roulier probably is. And they could still do something from here on out. They could cut 2 or 3 guys and all of a sudden have $25 million that they can spend on a left guard who gets cut from somewhere else for cap reasons, or they can do it to sign a linebacker. But I'm just talking about for right now, the position that they're in and what they did in this draft. And again, the reason I didn't like 2 cornerbacks and what was the strength of this team, not necessarily cornerbacks, but pass defense was the strength of this team. 4th ranked in the NFL. They didn't take turnovers. That was an issue, whatever. But we all know this defense carried the team. So why are we adding to the defense, the strength of the team, and not adding to the offense, which was the weakness of the team?
Maybe we're drafting because we're going to lose some key defensive starters that we may not even think about, and then we're just preparing for the future.
I have a different take. I don't think we're going to lose any key defensive starters.
This year?
Not this year, but maybe next year. Maybe he doesn't get re-signed. Here's what I think is going to happen, why they went the way they did in this draft with back-to-back defensive backs to start it off. Okay. One, I think we're going to see a lot of 5 defensive backs on the field. You always want to put your best players on the field, right? I think we're going to start seeing a lot of just Jamin Davis as the lone linebacker. Cam Curl or Defoe can come up, fill that box space. You can have Emmanuel Forbes.
That's total speculation on you.
It totally is, but it's also speculation that these guys are going to be trash.
I'm not saying they're going to be trash.
I cut Defoe.
You literally just lambasted Wiley and Gates and Stromberg and Braeden Daniels, saying that they're not even going to be good. They're just going to be fillers. They're just going to be backups.
In the 4th round.
Braeden Daniels was, I think, a sneaky good pick. I'm really happy with.
How come they didn't say, "There's our left guard"?
Because
they're like, I don't know. Hopefully,
because he's not.
He might be, but why aren't they getting a guy that you say left guard is a glaring need for this team? Why aren't they saying we're drafting a guy to fill that position that was the worst position on the team last year, and we still don't know who's playing there? We're going to have Daniels and
Sadiq Charles is playing there.
Sadiq Charles and Chris Paul and Nick Gates and Stromberg. We're going to have all these guys who are obviously not good enough to be called the left guard. They're going to battle for the left guard. Good luck with that. That's a horrific plan.
This is the
Ron
stoner
Rivera
who, by the
really
way,
never-
wants to be there for week 1. Yep, competition.
Really
Lots
ever-
of competition there. Hopefully Daniels, Gus Bus saying, hopefully Daniels is right tackle, pushes Wiley to left guard. That is the important note there. Even though he's listed as a guard, the team announced him as a tackle. 2 up, 2 down. Just want to point out, 2 up, 2 down says 1 linebacker would mean 6 DBs on the field. Not necessarily. Washington loves to play 5 defensive linemen. So you could do a 5-1-5, but yeah, there could easily be a 4-1-6 that goes in there as well. So again, the main point with the defense is you got to put the best players on the field. You got to play. One of the things that this defense has been missing, and this is why they went there. Okay, sure, they're maybe not having as many people pass on them, or they're good defensively in some of these categories that Stoner mentions. You know where they're not good defensively, Stoner?
Takeaways.
Yeah,
you address that with the Forbes. You address that. Now move on to another need.
Now you got it with Quan Martin in the second as well.
They're either not going to re-sign Cam Curl for the long run, or you're cutting Defoe sooner rather than later.
Long run, smong run. They've got to win this year.
Hey, I'm just telling you that's how Ron drafts. He drafts for the future, not for now.
Well, I don't know about that.
After the first round, he doesn't. After the first round, he doesn't. Think about it. After the first round, he doesn't. Think about it.
Okay, give me some examples. Besides Quan Martin, who is, in Ron's own words, good at a lot of things, great at nothing.
Emmanuel Forbes is the win now pick, and then everything else is we can build around and see what we have beyond next. It's my opinion how he drafts.
Defensively.
Offensively.
He's a defensive
he did
coach.
Nothing for that offense.
I know, so I'm saying. I think he did his win now pick was Emmanuel Forbes because we're bad at takeaways. We just added that. And then the rest of the picks are just to add for the future for when he's not going to be here or if he is here. Like, he doesn't care about winning now in the second round, third round, or fourth round. Doesn't make sense. I'm with you,
Trip.
I'm with you.
Let me ask you this. What was your reaction when whoever it was London Fletcher. When London Fletcher went out there and he said, with the 47th pick of the NFL draft, wait a minute. When he said with the
47th pick of the
with the 47th pick of the NFL draft, the Washington Commanders select Jartavius Martin.
Yeah.
Cornerback.
Yeah.
Illinois. What was your immediate reaction?
Who the hell is Jartavius Quan Martin? That was my reaction.
And
why the hell did we take another defensive back round 2?
And now you're totally different. Why? Because they brainwashed you.
No,
brainwashed you to love it.
16 was the win now pick, and every other pick was the for the future, whatever. We'll just take him to see because maybe he'll be good 2 or 3 years from now instead of winning now. I'm with you.
Terrible strategy.
No, I know it is. The Quan. Why? Because what's his name? Sidney Brown and D. Witherspoon were good at Illinois. You want to take the other one who was supposedly good too?
Yeah.
Like, no, get out of here. I'd rather have drafted the Bowie State's defensive back who idolized Sean Taylor than Jartavius, Quan, Raekwon, whatever who wants to be called, Martin at round 2.
Yeah, I'm sure the Illinois defense was like the 84 Bears.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, get out of here with that. And again, it's nothing about Martin that I'm against. Hopefully he does fill that slot that we really want. And he's going to be moving all over the field like people are saying. That's what I'm hoping for. I'm hoping that 6 months from now, when they're leading the league in turnovers and they're 8-1 and they're giving up 6 points a game, and people can lambaste me and say, you're such an idiot, they knew what they were doing. I just don't get it right now. That's all. And it's my opinion that they botched this draft, at least in those middle rounds. Forbes, I like. Henry, I like. Fill the need. Even Jones, I liked. Rodriguez, I didn't really much care for either.
Rodriguez is Jared Patterson's replacement.
Which is what? Sitting in the locker room during games?
Squad player, yeah.
That's
because they got a DUI at the beginning of the year, so it's like, practice squad right now, and then he'll come in.
Yeah, well, that does you no good. Now, 6th round, you don't really expect a whole lot from a 6th rounder, but when you have choices of guys who have proven that they can do things that players on your team cannot do, okay, Robinson cannot go get into the open field and make guys miss and all that. Gibby can, but Robinson cannot. Jonathan Williams cannot. Patterson cannot. Why are you drafting a B-Rob clone? That's the problem I had with Rodriguez.
Yeah.
You drafted a Robinson Williams clone. So basically you just said, I'm going to have this guy sitting in the locker room until one of those guys gets hurt. And then
because we've already got all the other shifty guys that could take snaps in the backfield too.
Because you're talking about like Curtis Samuel and
I'm about to say
Dotson
Gibby and Curtis Samuel are
that UCLA product. He could be in there too.
That's true. That's they did kind of get some.
That's our new punt returner.
Some people in that undrafted free agency. So
you know what's crazy? I hate to do this. I got to exit stage right here for a second. I'll be right back.
Okay. Well, let Stoner do his thing, and then but
did pee again.
Yeah, old man bladders, man. What are you gonna do? Trev, let's try to get this back in here. Stoner really little Debbie Downer there. Got us as far as D-, really railing it. You gave it kind of a higher grade there, and we're gonna go round by round again here. Emmanuel Forbes, did you like the pick?
At the time, no, because I guess I really didn't watch enough tape or know too much about him. And also, he's a twig, man. He's so small. And I know people say, wait, don't worry about it. But at the same time, it's like our division of receivers are no slouch receivers. So it's not like he's going up against fellow rookie receivers. He's going against some dogs. And if we're banking on him to be the ball hawk that he was in the SEC, I know. But he was in Mississippi State. He wasn't like it from Florida or Alabama or Auburn or LSU. So it's like, whatever. But it is what it is. We'll see what happens. This tape looks good, but can it translate to the big leagues? We'll see what happens.
I think Stoner and I were pretty happy with it. Now, one of the things that kind of came out, and I don't know how much stock I put into this, but there was a rumor that Washington was willing to move up into the single digits to grab one Florida Gator QB. Stoner, how happy would that have made you if they would have been able to pull that off?
I've been saying from the beginning that I think he's the next superstar, that I think he's going to be the best quarterback of this draft. I think he's awesome, and I would have just lost my mind if he was coming here. I don't believe that they actually tried to do that. This is very reminiscent of 2 years ago when they came out after signing. Maybe it was last year. I don't know. Maybe it was after Wentz, and they came out and said, well, we tried to get Rodgers. We tried to get Stafford. We even called about Mahomes. I think it's kind of making them look good to say, we tried to do this. We tried to move up to get Anthony Richardson. Did they really? Did they really try?
I think they might have. I mean, if it's smoke, why would they just select Anthony Richardson just to make the, just to make the story?
Because Will Levis was there at 16, they could have taken him. And so who was a QB that was realistic option for Washington that they could have been, just barely missed out on. Look at that. He got picked up in at the pick number 4.
Mm-hmm.
Stoner.
Mm-hmm.
If we would have done that
mm-hmm.
and drafted Anthony Richardson,
mm-hmm.
and our next pick was a defensive back,
mm-hmm.
and then the next pick was a defensive back.
Okay.
And then we got crappy 4th, 5th, 6th round offensive linemen. What would you grade our draft?
I would grade it just on the draft alone. I would probably grade it an A+.
Okay.
No,
you got your QB is what is the biggest reason.
You got your QB.
Okay, so what's the difference? And pretty much Sam Howell, who I don't care, he's been there for a year, but he's pretty much a rookie because he's a rookie.
Mm-hmm.
Essentially a rookie. And then you go and get another rookie, but you don't do anything to help these rookies out via free agency or draft.
Mm-hmm.
You would have still graded an A+ just because we got Anthony Richardson.
Yeah, because you got a guy who
moves the needle. That's a very
We've never seen him play an NFL game.
Right.
We've seen Sam Howell play against a playoff team in Dallas Cowboys at home for
Stoner. But Trev, do you not remember 2012 when we made the the move up, and we knew we were going to get either Andrew Luck or RG3, more than likely RG3.
True.
Everybody was excited. You've never seen them play an NFL snap.
But RG3 won the Heisman. Anthony Richardson threw 15 touchdowns and like 13 career starts. Okay, so
Anthony Richardson is 6'4", 250, runs a 4.3.
Yeah,
but so that's what my point is. You were given A+ all because we drafted a rookie quarterback, but kept the draft the same, except just down a round the same. You give A+ all because we have a rookie quarterback now.
Trev,
so
you addressed the biggest problem on the biggest weakness of your team. Your biggest problem was quarterback. We can say offensive line, yes, of course.
11 college games. Sorry.
But you have addressed your biggest weakness on the biggest weakness of the entire team.
And you're basing it off of his pro day. Really?
You're basing it off of a lot.
No, it's pro day.
I'm basing it off of Indianapolis took him 4. Who was it that said they would have taken him had he been there? Somebody said, maybe it was Seattle. I don't remember. I think because he went 4, he wasn't available.
That's different. Their quarterback situations are different. We pretty much have a rookie in Sam Howell. So why would you grade it differently off of an unproven, more or less proven quarterback because of his pro day and his measurables instead of his actual stats in the NFL, rather than Sam Howell, who had both stats and was a Heisman candidate and Why would you do that?
When this ridiculously talented brain and QB evaluator watches Anthony Richardson and I watch Sam Howell, I completely believe that Anthony Richardson is 10 times the player that Sam Howell is.
You've only watched 11 games of Anthony Richardson versus over 20 for Sam Howell.
If I watch 11 games of Richardson,
which is all he played in college,
watch everything about him, yes. I can't sit here and say that he has better stats. I can't say that. But I can say that if it's me, if the Commanders called me and asked me to make the decision for an NFL quarterback between Anthony Richardson and Sam Howell, I'm taking Anthony Richardson.
How does that help your team with already Sam Howell and Jacoby Brissett in the room? How would that help?
Because, as I said,
Nathan.
Anthony Richardson is 10 times the player that Sam Howell is. I believe that.
We're going to move on from this was just about the rumor.
After the show, Stoner.
This was just about the rumor. Now you guys are getting into Anthony Richardson. There's a couple interesting things. It sounds like, Stoner, a quick, easy answer from you on this would be you still wouldn't be happy. I think TJ had posted earlier, what if we would have taken Sam Howell? Because you were talking about a QB filling that need. What if Sam Howell went into the draft this year and we took him at 16?
Beautiful.
You'd be happy with that.
I'd love that. Because you're addressing your biggest need by saying, I have seen Sam Howell and I believe he's worthy of the 16th pick.
Okay.
But you know what? They didn't do that the year before, and neither did any team until they got to 150. And then they said, let's take a flyer on this kid and see what happens. Not, we believe this is the quarterback of the future. This is, let's take a flyer on him and see.
This is a developmental guy. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. All right. Code Talker asked a different question here. For the panel, what grade would you give us if we drafted offensive line with our first 3 picks? I'm just going to throw out some names here.
Okay,
that were available. Anton Harrison with 16. I think Avila was available at 47, maybe not. If he wasn't, Osiris was
41, 47. I don't think Avila.
Okay, I think he might have gone a little. I think he went in like the 30s, right? So we'll say Torrance.
Torrance was available. Mock was available.
Okay, we'll say Torrance.
All right, Torrance.
And then we still go with Ricky Stromberg with our 3rd round pick. What would you grade that draft just based off of that? Everything else can fall out the same way, but that's where you went. Anton Harrison, Torrance, and then Ricky Stromberg. That's 1, 2, 3. Addressing your offensive line, Stoner.
I'd need new pants. I'm just putting it out there. I would need new pants.
I would be happy.
I would be so happy. I would be so elated drafting 3 offensive linemen.
Yep.
Oh,
learn together, grow together, continuity from the jump.
And Harrison is a tackle.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
Yes.
So you took care of your left tackle, you took care of your left guard, and you took care of your maybe right guard or center with Stromberg.
Center, yeah. Because you got Sam Cosby already.
So let's put Gates, back there, and he can be our backup. Yeah. And you'd have Cosme and you'd have Wiley.
Yeah.
Wiley, I don't like. I don't like Wiley at all. But okay, he's the guy at right tackle because apparently he's the best right tackle in the game and won a Super Bowl.
He's the most
Hassan Reddick.
Bro, also, we didn't have money to go out and sign on Orlando Brown.
Sure they did. They gave it all to Payne.
Exactly.
That was their decision.
So we didn't have the money to go get who we really wanted.
They did have the money, Trev.
I don't think they really wanted Orlando Brown.
Whoever it was. Whoever it was.
We wanted Deron Payne more than offensive lineman, is what you're saying.
That's not the right decision, is what I'm saying. But look, somebody said
that's a whole other argument right there, but we won't even get into that one.
Maybe it was TJ or somebody said, "Thank God Stoner's not in the front office."
Yep.
That's true.
Just a fan.
I'm just a fan. Yeah. But that's my opinion. Offensive line was their biggest weakness.
I don't think I would have liked that draft as much because cornerback was a need for this team. They definitely needed. If it's not filling McCain, it's just trying to make sure Wild Goose and a couple of these other guys, as much as Danny, people like Danny Johnson, the less he sees the field in the defensive backfield, the better for us, right? Like, so those are improvements. And I'm sorry, I do like a fuller BSJ outside. You can put Quan Martin as your slot guy, put Curl next to Jamin Davis, or find a place for Forbes in there as well. Maybe Forbes instead of BSJ. So, and then you got maybe put Quan Martin back out at free safety out there with Defoe and have BSJ, Forbes, and Fuller kind of matchup. I think that's this is a pass happy league, minus Washington Commanders, who love to run the ball. Right. But this is, come on, that is a defensive backfield that I can get behind. I would love to see all those guys on the field.
All right, Nathan, what if they had gone O-line, corner, O-line?
Yeah, I think that's solid.
Or corner, O-line, O-line.
Stoner darn well. We put out a short. I was baffled, absolutely, and I even in our the second short where I got to think about it a little bit more, still baffled. They went back-to-back corner. This was a deep corner draft as well. There were some guys that I think would have been available there in the third, and they could have gotten an offensive lineman who was ready to start day one. And yeah, that's why it's not an A draft for me. This is a B draft. I'm not disappointed with the players that they picked up, -1, but that's another matter. Yeah. I think that the players they picked up are solid for their scheme. I think the players that they picked up were right for them. And this is kind of a point here earlier from not sure where it was. Now I can't find it. But when people are talking about where people are, they're drafted too early, or we could have gotten this player a little bit late. You don't know that. Okay. How many people thought DeJuan Jones was going to be possibly going in the first round?
Right.
You had 4 players who were in the green room waiting to get picked on day one. 3 of them go home and one of them stays, Joey Porter Jr., to get drafted there. Or no, sorry, it was Branch who got drafted in the second round, who stayed. Outside, you had 4 guys who were projected to be taken in the first, didn't get taken in the first. You do not know where these players are going to go. The boards that we're looking at, no matter how many mock drafts you do, are never going to be accurate. That's why we love the draft. Who thought
that's fun?
Gibbs is going 12?
Not me.
No one. No one saw that happening. Everybody was just like, no, he's a top 50 player. Everybody wouldn't have been surprised if Detroit took them with their second round pick. But they got him at 12.
And nobody knows anything out in this.
In the end, it's not going to matter where you pick the player if the player's the right player. Nobody's going to think anything about Quan Martin as a bad pick if he goes out and he has, 3 interceptions this year
Mhm.
and like 6 to 12 pass breakups.
Yeah, for
Right?
sure.
No one, everyone's going to be like, 47 was perfect.
Yeah.
Definitely needed to take him. If Ricky Stromberg ends up, because a lot
I'm
of people
excited
are
about
upset with
him.
the Ricky Stromberg pick because they felt like he would have been available at 118
I'm hyped.
and they could have gone somebody else with that 97 pick.
Yeah.
And it's possible. It's, who knows? I mean, they didn't think KJ Henry was going to fall as far as he did.
Right.
Some people had KJ Henry as one of their top 100 players,
Mhm.
and they got him in the 5th round.
Right. And
So-
even Braeden Daniels, I think, fell a little bit further.
Yep.
He was a day 2 pick on a lot of boards, and he didn't go until the 4th round. But certainly, I think there's a lot of there's a lot of truth to that we don't really know people's their draftable spots until they actually get drafted by the teams that need them. I was just surprised about cornerback.
Some of these players are actually like players that Ron and company actually truly wanted, like heavily scouted. And maybe, Ricky Stromberg's one of them that they thought, well, we definitely want him. And maybe that they thought he would be gone already or be later. If he's right there, go ahead and get him if he's there. That's kind of like the motive of draft. If it's your guy and he's there, you grab him no matter where he is. If he's there for you. So it's kind of hard. That's like you said, mock drafts don't really.
But why is it that a guy in the 3rd round that you drafted in the 3rd round is not seen as an immediate starter? Why is Ricky Stromberg? Why didn't they draft him and say, Ricky Stromberg, that's our center?
Because
now, maybe they will. Maybe once they cut Chase.
I think it's still a little early for that one, right? Because I think when
Third
you
round,
look at, well,
maybe
that's my point. It's 3rd round.
Maybe they think they already have their starter, and they got him just in case because our center depth has to be long because we can't keep.
That's what I'm saying.
We've gone to what
depth.
4 or 5 centers. Yeah,
you can't be drafting depth in the 3rd round.
But it's got to be good depth.
Pointing out it's
you don't want bad depth. You don't want to draft somebody in the 7th round, be like, oh, it's depth, and he will never see a light of day. Chris Paul. You want if you got somebody who is depth that could potentially become a starter, then you grab them. You want good depth, not just hobo jobo as depth.
I agree with that, Trev, but their 3rd round should be a starter.
I say this a lot. The top 100 picks should be your impact players. Those are players who should be hitting the field day 1 and making an impact for you. If they're picked after the top 100 and they're making an impact, that's bonus to me. That's
when
great.
did we draft Cole Holcomb? 5th round?
Yeah, he was a 5th round pick.
Yeah.
So, all right, well, let me ask you this, Trev. When they drafted Gibby, did you say, "Oh, he's depth"?
No, I thought he was going to be a starting secret weapon.
When they drafted Benjamin St. Juste, did you think, "Oh, he's just going to be depth"?
Yeah, for sure, because that was what 5th round, 6th round.
No,
BSJ was 3rd.
Oh yeah, I thought he'd be depth.
We had at that point though. We would have had
Fuller and Jackson.
William Jackson.
Fuller
I thought he was
Jackson,
depth because we already had the corners.
He was supposed to be a slot guy. That's what he was drafted for, is to be the starting slot corner.
Right.
And when Jackson didn't work out, then he moved outside. But he was drafted to be a starter, to be your nickel.
But Terry was drafted. Terry was drafted to be a special teams depth / returner, and he's a starter. So I don't know if 3rd round is expected to be starters.
I'm not saying starter. You guys are. I'm saying impact player.
You say
impact player.
I'm saying starter.
Especially with wide receiver, right? Like a wide receiver in the 3rd round. If you can just catch like 30 to 50 passes, which 50 is on the high end for a rookie, for 500 to 700 yards, again, that's kind of on the high end for a rookie. Like that's an impact player. You don't have to, as a 3rd round rookie, you don't have to be wide receiver 1. Just be wide receiver 3. Be good. Sure. With your linemen, that's a little different. I do expect to get some starting. And Ricky, I think part of the reasons why they're not immediately going to him is because they do value him as a center.
Mm-hmm.
And at the time right now, as we speak here, Wednesday, May the 3rd at 8:29 in the evening Eastern time, Chase Roulier is still on this roster.
Mm-hmm. And you
Chase,
signed a center in free
you
agency.
you signed Wes Schweitzer from New York Giants is what you did. That's what Gates is. He is a flex position. All right.
Right.
He is going to probably get some time at left guard. He's going to fill in at center if Chase Roulier, Tyler Larson, and Ricky Stromberg go down. Then you're going to see Gates play some time at center.
But the world is saying right now, the entire world is saying Nick Gates is your starting center.
Yeah.
Right? So he was brought over to be a center. And you drafted a center.
He's taking starting snaps right now.
Wait, where did I miss that they said that Gates was your starting center?
Everybody said that. I'm just talking about all the beat reporters. All
Can
the
you
beat reporters.
I want you to go and I want you to find me some examples while we continue talking about this draft class. That I want some examples, and if somebody in the chat wants to help Stoner out there and finds and can corroborate this, everybody says Gates is going to be the starting center. I would love to see it here. So we've talked a lot about Quan Martin. I'm a little bit more plus on that pick than these two. Ricky Stromberg, there's some frustration he might not be starting right away. He does have the wonderful or dreaded, depending on which side of the topic you are, they have position flex, right? That's one of the big things that this staff loves is position flex. So Ricky Stromberg can play center, could slide out to guard if needed. Quan Martin plays all up and down the field, and it's a reason why Branch was looked at quite heavily by us and several other people for Washington because of that position flex. Then you got Braeden Daniels. Braeden Daniels has played up and down the line. He's played left tackle. He's played right tackle. He's played guard. And so it'll be interesting to see where he ends up. But that was a sneaky good pick for Washington.
I got some receipts on the beat reporters.
Okay, here we go.
You're a better researcher on that. I go onto Twitter and it gives you nothing. But okay,
I just typed in Nick Gates and just hit scroll. But okay. But Pete Haley 4 days ago said the Commanders center situation in the last few seasons has been a disastrous, messy debacle between Stromberg and Nick Gates. It should be stabilized now. Matthew Paris 4 days ago asked if Nick Gates might compete at guard. Rivera shook his head no. If there's a competition for center to be between Gates, Stromberg, and others. Chris Russell, aka the Rooster, said Nick Gates being penciled in as a center along with Stromberg being drafted.
My friend, is called receipts.
The moves all but end Chase Roulier's time here, barring enormous pay cut.
Yeah, see, even Ron has said that Nick Gates is your center.
Yeah.
It sounds like he is going to play or work
Grant
for
Paulson 4 days ago and consider Nick Gates as a potential starting center.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah. So it's not a guaranteed starting position, is what I heard. It is. He came here to play center.
Yes.
What this more so signals is Chase Roulier's time here is done.
Yeah.
And
we all know.
Unless he takes a crazy pay cut, he probably ain't gonna do that. So.
Yeah. And Zoe, I'm not surprised, by the way, that Nick Gates is being looked at center. I saw him as, like I said, a Wes Schweitzer, someone who's going to play center guard. Sure. It sounds like I missed all these talks from Ron and company that said that he's only going to be center. Sounds like it's going to be a competition. For the love of goodness, Ricky, please beat out Gates. Please beat out Nick Gates. Like
I don't know. Do you want him to beat out a guy that you paid money to get?
Exactly.
Yes. Do I want the guy I just drafted who could be my starting center for the next decade to beat out some guy who I picked up off the streets, Stoner?
Yeah, no,
serious?
Are we
serious?
Give me Nick Gates right now to mold the man, and then
if Ricky Stromberg beats out Nick Gates, a veteran here in the NFL, and we're like, nope, this is the dude at center, how's that a bad thing?
No, it's not. If he beats him out, but are you wanting that to happen is the question. Not will it happen. Are you wanting it to happen?
I want the guy I drafted at 97 to be a 10-year starter at center.
Yes,
right.
I agree.
What if he slips out a year and then becomes a 10-year starter because we got him in the third round to line up behind Nick Gates, who's a veteran already? Well, if that's the case.
No. I'm with Nathan. I want him to come in, and I want him to be great, and I want him to.
You should have got him first round then if you wanted to be your starting center starting now for 10 years. You should have done that.
You don't. Well, that's the thing with offensive linemen is you don't need to.
But the point of that,
good offensive linemen can come in the late first. They can come in the second. They can come in the third. Heck, you have linemen who do well in the later rounds. Maybe they don't come in right away and start. Maybe it takes a while. Maybe that's what Chris Paul's waiting for. He's got some developmental talent. Maybe he's going to get our starting left guard position, and then we're set there. But but we don't know.
But if you do that, and I agree that that's what you want with Stromberg, that means you just botched the signing of Nick Gates. So you signed a center and you drafted a center. How about you just do one of those things instead of both? Especially when you've already got two centers on your roster to begin with. You've already got Chase Rouillet. I understand he's not going to be there, but you do still have him on your roster, and you re-signed Tyler Larson, not to be your starting center. You've already got two centers, and you signed one in free agency, and you drafted one. That's 4 starting caliber centers on this team. It's going to be 3. But see, that's what I'm talking. It's the same thing as the cornerback situation. You've got 2 starting corners. Then you draft one in the first round, and then you draft another one. You've only got 3 starting spots.
Well, that most. Second one was Bobby McCain's replacement. hate to say it.
I get that. So who's out of the equation then?
I'm telling you, you're going to end up starting all of them.
4 of them? So you're going to have 6 DBs?
Yes.
So you're going to have 6 DBs.
If nothing else, I'm sorry, Derek Forrest still has to prove that he can continue developing.
Derek Forrest does not have to prove jack Watt.
Yes, he does.
Derek Forrest was a 6th-round pick who missed most of his rookie season, came out of nowhere and had some playmaking, but he's still not exactly like a solidified
Give me Quan Martin over Defoe right now.
Derek Forrest started every game last year, did he not? Didn't he lead the team in interceptions?
Again, he has that playmaking ability. I'm high on Defoe, but I'm just saying he's not a guaranteed starter, Stoner.
He ain't no ball hawk.
You're acting like a guy who can't come and replace Derek Forrest, a 6th-round pick 2 years ago.
Which is who Quan Martin is going as well.
I can't tell you that. I can't tell you that. Very confidently, I can tell you that Derek Forrest will be starting at safety.
He will not be
very, very confidently say that. What was he? Top 5 PFF grade again?
No, he wasn't.
No, he was not. That was
PFF.
Not by the end. Not by the end.
Okay, where was he? Top 10? Oh, my bad.
No,
he was much lower.
He was much lower. Top 45.
You sure about that now?
I'm pulling it up.
He didn't do nothing but be at the right place at the right time on tipped interceptions. Other than that, we wouldn't be talking about Derek Forrest.
That sounds a lot like
Emmanuel Forbes. Yeah, exactly.
All right, so I don't even know how they work this or whatever. So, where is there like an overall number?
Look at all my nerves with this Defoe stuff.
How do you read that?
With us? We get so happy on 3 playmaking plays out of the whole 18-game season. It's like, oh, he's a starting safety. He was top 5. No way, man. No way. Give me Quan Martin over Defoe all day.
How do you read it, Nathan?
Or Cam Curl is not going to be here long term.
Pulling up the safeties right now. Cam Curl was 2, by the way, in all of this.
Yeah, Trev hates him too.
Yeah.
Well, he's not going to be here long. We're not re-signing him. That's why we got Quan Martin.
By the way, Kyle Hampton, number 1 under this. Just going to point that out here. Defoe is all the way down at 42.
I said 45. Dang it.
You really that low?
What you mean?
Again, he's had some amazing plays, and I like the playmaking ability. I like Defoe. I think that for a 6th-round pick, just like Cam Curl, you found a guy who can play the game of football, and you want that. Okay,
2 words.
All that's good stuff. But to say he can't be replaced is ludicrous.
2 words for you. Apparently, you 2 have never heard these 2 words before in your entire life.
Troy Apke.
Percy Butler. Oh, we just all of a sudden forget about our 4th-round pick from last year?
Oh, yeah, totally.
Who came on really
rounder.
strong?
Yeah, as a special teamer.
As a safety, he played a bunch of safety.
A developmental guy. Come on here.
God.
We're reaching,
Come on,
Stoner.
bro. Yeah,
Did
dude.
you pull
I'm
something
listing-
reaching for that?
I'm listing two guys
Add
who are
Jeremy
better
Reed in there,
safeties.
too, if you want to.
Who are better safeties than apparently the next coming of Sean Taylor, who goes by the name.
No one
Quan
said
Martin.
that he's Sean Taylor. You now
The
definitely
Bowie
pulled
State
something
guy,
reaching
Sean
for
Taylor
that.
guys.
You absolutely went bonkers on that one, Stoner.
Okay,
All we're
but you
saying
guys are
is you
making
can
him out to
replace
be-
a 6th round, player who has one decent season, still ranked 42 in PFF. You can't. Percy Butler was a special teamers last year.
How come he fell down so far? Remember they were like both top 5 or whatever.
Ooh,
At one point, Defoe and Cam Curl were top 5 on.
it was like
PFF.
week 3
for a long time.
No, it was like in the middle of the season.
Yeah,
It's
thank
honestly because he is a solid player, but he has his faults, and a lot of those playmaking that he happened was he also got burnt quite a bit. So
I cannot sit here and make cases for Jags that are 6th round and 5th round picks outside of Sam.
Oh,
outside
all of a
of Sam
sudden,
Howell. I can't do it.
that's what
Can't
I was
do it.
gonna call
Yeah,
it.
you
I'm
know
not
he's a
gonna
howler.
Sam Howell.
You know he's a
I'm not
howler.
gonna- Yeah.
What about KJ
Exactly.
Henry? I love KJ Henry.
Okay, yeah,
Why
about
do
to
you
say,
love
let's get back
KJ
on this
Henry?
draft.
Why?
KJ Henry. Why do you like him? Why would we like him?
Why do you like KJ Henry? I haven't heard KJ Henry not once before this entire draft, entire offseason. We draft him. Oh, I like KJ
That's on
Henry.
you.
Why?
I was about to say, again, a lot of
That's on
people
you.
had him as a top 100 player.
And where did we get him?
In the
We got
fifth
him
round.
in the 5th round.
what
Trev, do
number?
not do this
What
with
number?
me.
What?
You do
This is
not
your edge
want
guy.
to do this with
What
me
did,
because
what did Dabo say? The guy, what did Dabo say?
that you got a quality player, the best person he's ever had on the
he'll
team,
be
and
great
everything
on
like this.
special teams. Sweet.
So he did, yeah. So Trev, remind me your argument there for Sam Howell, who was a 5th round pick.
He was a Heisman candidate his junior year, decided to stay his senior year. All of his
Could have been a
weapons left.
1st round and all of his other
Yeah,
stuff
all
and
his
everything.
weapons
Yeah,
left,
but was taken in the 5th round.
Yeah.
This is a guy who was taken in the 5th round, who again was a top 100. A lot of people saw him as a potential, game wrecker. Now, here's the thing. Here, KJ Henry might not be good at stopping the run. Okay, that's one of the reasons why he fell. You know what I don't want my defensive end to really need to be focused on is stopping the run. I want my defensive end to get after the quarterback, and KJ Henry can get after the quarterback.
Kill the quarterback.
He had a higher number in pressures. How many sacks did he have? 3
On a Clemson defense that had 2 first rounders. Yeah.
Yeah. He had 3 sacks and how many pressures? Sweet. We already have that.
Not next year, you don't. Not next year, you got 0 pressures. After next year, when every single one of your DNs, like I think he was a good pick. 5th round, good value for what he's going to provide. Is he going to be a superstar?
He's a Shaka Tony. He's a William Bradley King. He's a James Smith Williams.
He might be.
That's
what you get in the 5th round.
Yeah, I was about to say this is a 5th round pick.
He might be.
I'm not overly excited about this, Trev, but I'm thinking this is somebody who we can get some. Exactly. Why not replace Casey Hill? Why not replace Shaka Tony, who is betting on games?
Agency who's better than KJ Henry?
Not for that price.
Are we trying to win now, or are we trying to win in 2 years?
This is a quality pickup by Washington in the 5th round. This is exactly.
I thought it was a good pick.
This is exactly what they need to pick here. By the way, his dad is a Washington fan, which just makes the pick all the better. Love that.
It's just an added bonus. Trevor.
It's a bonus.
It's a story.
Yeah, it's a bonus. Yeah, it's fun. It's fun. A lot has been made about, and for the record, KJ Henry, great character guy. Guy's got a bachelor's, he's got a master's, he's like up and down the field, just like apparently a good guy. Gave NIL money to a family member for health reasons.
You know what happened?
Everybody talks about him being a good character, and Ron talks about it being a good character. But Trev, don't ruin the segue here. Chris Rodriguez Jr. picked up for a DUI earlier in the year.
I had a good one, bro. I had a good one.
You good? Okay, go ahead, jump back
The last player I heard that had a really, really nice sob story. It was, a really heart warmer. He gone. And his name is Taylor Heineke. So let's go. Next. It don't translate to wins, okay? It don't translate to wins. Yeah. So let's go to Christian Rodriguez. I'm ready.
All right, let's go. Yeah, so Rodriguez Jr., running back out of Kentucky.
Interesting pick.
Yeah, this was my least favorite pick here. And Stoney, you talked a little bit about it before in your long rant at the beginning of this. He is very much a between the tackles type runner. And to me, I guess this just means that that's what Ron Rivera and company want to do. They want to be a power running offense. They want Brian Robinson to run left, Brian Robinson to run right. They want
welcome to 2002.
If it starts winning games, Stoner, I don't care. I just want to win games. Okay.
I hear you, but it's not good for the long run. That style is not.
This is to me. You had Deuce Vaughn still on the board at this point. That's a player we like. There was some undrafted free agents that we talked. Keaton Mitchell went undrafted.
Did he really? I didn't even realize that.
And so these are players who, when you're looking at this roster, you look at Brian Robinson as being the bell cow. You look at Gibson as being this playmaker.
Mm-hmm.
You can throw Curtis Samuel back there every now and then again as kind of like this playmaker.
Mm-hmm.
But what the team was lacking was a third down back, a guy who's going to be pass protection and then go out and catch these little dinky dunky passes just to keep the drive going or help out the quarterback, which if you're starting Sam Howell, you're going to want that. Here they get a guy who is not known for pass catching at all. He is a between the tackles runner, and I just don't understand this. I don't know how much. A lot of people are telling me you have to trust EB. This was the EB pick, by the way, the only offensive skill position that was taken this draft. No tight end, no wide receiver, nothing. This is it. Was a 6th round running back who's known for his runs between the tackles. Was your EB pick. Mm-hmm. They're putting a lot of faith in EB. They're putting a lot of faith in Sam Howell and his ability, or even Jacoby Brissett, to change this offense. And they show this faith by getting another between the tackles running back so that they don't have to pass.
Yeah, that's I mean, like I said, welcome to 2002. Welcome to 20 years ago when that's how the NFL was.
Well, he's known. I've heard on TV that he's really, really good at pass protection. Gibby is not. B-Rob is not as good, but Gibby is not. And
whoop-de-frickin'
hold on. Well, it's gonna be, if we want to pass, if we want to air it out, we need pass protection. I don't see Jonathan Williams making it past training camp. I think he was signed just to be an extra camp body. I love the way he does, the way he runs. We already had that with B-Rob. Mm-hmm. So we got that with B-Rob. Gibby is not going to be Gibby of previous. He's going to be a different Gibby, different role. You're going to have somebody that come in and spare B-Rob or be that third down back or that pass protection back if we won 5 wide or 4 wide. I mean, I just think maybe that's why he fits EB's offense for what he's looking for. Maybe he's not looking for him to be an in between the tackler, like a heavy load. Maybe he's just looking to be a role situational running back. Yeah, we missed Deuce Vaughn, but I think we did it on purpose. So that could be another cool story for Dallas Cowboys. That was a script. That was set up. I don't care what anybody says. That was set up. Anyways, yeah, it's just a weird pick. Maybe it'll work out. He almost ran for 1,000 yards at Kentucky with Will Levis. So
yeah, and I think he missed a couple of games at the beginning of the season too.
Yeah, because he had a DUI charge, but
yeah.
And also,
for the record, he still did finish quite with a decent season there. 175 rushes for 904 yards.
That's almost 1,000 yards.
The year before, he ran for 1,300 yards.
I mean,
with the starting running back job. I'm not saying it's a bad one. And yes, Trev. So I mentioned there the pass protection, and you brought it up. He is apparently a great pass protecting back. I just need my pass protecting back to also be able to catch the ball. Because otherwise, are you just there to be another offensive lineman? Just put up another offensive lineman.
Jennifer King gonna mold that man. I mean, he did it to Gibby. She got.
Why not put, if all you're looking is for pass protection and next to the QB, why not put Bates back there?
There you go.
Okay, now
like, I just don't understand why you need to get this guy who, like, I mean, outside of the fact that he could be very well a much better runner than Jonathan Williams or Jarrett
third down back. He could be a third down back.
If he's a third down back right now, it looks like he's going to be just pass protection. And if you're just looking for pass protection, again, why not put Bates back there?
No, because Bates is going to be starting on the tight end line as a run blocker or a pass blocker. That's what he has to be out there at his spot. He can't be back in the back.
It's kind of, again, it's 6th round, so you're not looking for stars or anything. You're looking for depth guys. I just thought it was a weird depth piece. I'm not trying to get a guy in the 6th round who's supposed to be better than B-Rob or
but this
Gibby.
is filling out the back. This
he's gonna be better.
The players you take in the 6th round
John
need to be
Williams.
taking over the spot from the guys who are in the practice squad the last year.
Garrett Patterson.
Yeah, I mean, these guys are
Jonathan
gone. We
Williams.
get that.
Yeah,
But
and
in the 6th round, it's just
B-Rob get hurt. What we gonna do? B-Rob
look
get
at
hurt,
Jonathan Williams.
Run Gibby more. Gibby has several 1,000-yard seasons. Why does everybody forget that Gibson? I get people don't like, or people are like, Gibson's not a between the tackle. The guy has 2,000-yard seasons.
Yeah, it got us nowhere. So I'm over
EB just won a Super Bowl ring with a guy who had 800 yards rushing.
And where did they draft him? You guys,
in the 7th round.
Thank you. Christian
Okay,
Rodriguez
now you have
is
2
our
third-round
Isaiah
running backs
Pacheco.
you can work with.
He's our Pacheco.
Trev,
He's our Pacheco.
You don't need him.
They probably said the same thing about Pacheco last year when they had Hilaire and Jerick McKinnon and someone else. They probably said the same thing in the front office. EB, you don't need him. And what the hell happened?
Pacheco you ended up having to need him.
Super Bowl.
You ended up having to need him because of injuries.
Okay, that's
why
we got him.
You have that guy already.
No, you don't.
His name's Jonathan Williams.
We signed him as a camp body. He's going to be gone.
Trev, Jonathan Williams is 10 times the player that Michael Rodriguez is. And he's already on your roster.
His name is Christian Rodriguez,
what
not Michael. And second of all, Jay Will, I love the guy with Twitter pals, but he gone. He just signed early in the camp body because we didn't know who we're picking in the draft, and we saw Rodriguez is there, so now we grabbed him, and now we cutting Jay Will and Jay Patterson.
Yeah, I think that's
he's our Pacheco.
Again,
he's our
apparently
Pacheco.
Somebody came over to your house, poured some burgundy and gold Kool-Aid, and you're doing this. You're just drinking the whole thing.
He's our Pacheco, bro.
No, he's not.
Yes, we don't even know that, but the move indicates that.
I didn't have that one ready, unfortunately.
You don't need him, and you're giving all these reasons.
Who would you have taken?
This great player.
What position would you have taken at 6
I'm fine with the running back. I'm not fine with the same guy. You already have 2 on your roster.
Bro,
it's the same thing with the quarterback in the 2nd round. You already have them. Go get another depth need. Go get yourself another defensive end. Go get yourself
in the 6th round,
a linebacker.
Going to be who cut after practice.
I don't think they need a linebacker. We can get to that in a little bit, but
I'm just saying.
I like the pick. I actually like the pick
at a different position.
I talked myself into like.
I'm glad you talked yourself into this.
Burgundy and gold Kool-Aid.
Again, Trev, I'm with Stoner on the fact that I'm good with the depth running back. I'm absolutely fine, and I'm not a Jonathan Williams is more than what he is, right? Like this is a 30-year-old running back who is a serviceable backup. Give him like 10, 15 carries a year, and that's all you need, right? I just didn't to me, you're missing a JD McKissick. Maybe again, you're just going to look at putting back Curtis Samuels back there. Maybe you're putting Gibson back there. These are all unknowns. Mm-hmm. As with all of our picks, I hope Chris Rodriguez proves my distaste for the pick, because it's not about the man. Yeah. Right. It's not about the player. He could be a fantastic player for Washington. It's about getting a running back whose specialty is between the tackles and pass protection. And that just, to me, wasn't what Washington needed. They have that. Even if you go all the way to Jarrett Patterson, you have a guy who can produce some yards. Trev, I'm not trying to say that he's anything other, and I know I have to be careful here. EP will absolutely bring a knife down here.
I don't count preseason yards, and she won't bring a knife down there. She loves you. I don't count preseason yards.
Yeah, I'm not counting preseason yards as well. He also played that last game against Dallas that everybody likes to talk about. Sam Howell being the next coming of the best quarterback, Tom Brady, and everything like this. Like, Jarrett Patterson is MVP. A serviceable NFL player.
Oh my!
Most people would call that a jag, and that's fine.
He's
okay.
Squad player,
and Chris Rodriguez Jr. might end up just being just that, but taken in the 6th round. That's fine, and there's nothing wrong with that. Absolutely zero things wrong with that. This is where we're getting nitpicky. Again, a 6th round pick. We're getting nitpicky here. We just think that there's players like a Deuce Vaughn or Keaton Mitchell and everything like this, who would have maybe filled the team out a little bit more. When you're talking about roster building and filling out this roster, you're trying to fill it out with the holes that you have. We didn't have a hole at a power run, right?
That's all we're saying. That's all we're saying is that you filled a hole that didn't need filling. That's all. And by the way, if I can, real quick, everybody who's there in the chat, we appreciate everybody who's chiming in, and we see it all and all that. We try to get to it as much as possible. If y'all can hit that like button real quick, I just want to throw that in there. Hit that like button for us.
Wesley,
we don't have
thanks for
thanks
for joining us here. Hopefully you've hit that like button here as I read your comment here.
Appreciate it.
Wesley saying definitely a great pickup for the depth of the physical ball we're trying to play. And I said that at the beginning. I said this signals that we are a power running team. Ron Rivera, EB, apparently they're all happy with just they do not trust, in my opinion, Sam Howell or Jacoby Brissett to fling the ball 50 times a game.
That's right.
They don't.
So we're gonna have to go back in time.
No, we're not.
The ball was just hand the ball off 40 to 50 times.
I don't know.
Control the clock and play good defense.
I don't know.
That's gonna win you. That's gonna win you 8 games. It might even win you 9 games.
Well, no, listen to me. No.
Yippee-yi-yay.
If we combine that 12th ranked rushing attack with a horrible O-line and a bad quarterback, if we can combine that with something with those upgrades this year, it'll be just fine. We'll be fine. We can go back to 2002 as long as it helps us win. We only did that last year because we had Taylor short arm Heineke as our quarterback. That's why we ground and pounded so much. Offense is going to be completely different this year. So we can't just base it off what we did last year because we have a different offense and different quarterback.
I hope you're right, Trev. I hope you're right. I really honestly do. I'm not a negative Nelly. I'm not a negative Nelly. You guys better not call me a negative Nelly. I call it like I see it. And in this particular case, I don't like the draft. But if they had picked, like Nathan asked me, if they had picked 3 offensive linemen, I would have loved the draft.
Even if we got Chase Rodriguez or whatever his name is. What's his name? Yeah. Crispin or Chase Curtis. Or Michael or
it's Chris
Rodriguez Jr. in the 6th round. Yeah, there we go.
Yeah, but the 7th rounder too was
Andre Jones, a defensive end. I mean, this is your Shaka-Tony replacement. This isn't anything really to write home about. It's not. I mean, if he develops into a good starter or rotation player for Washington, then great. If he doesn't, you're not unhappy with this pick. So, this is fine, right? This is where it is. So
Jared has a question about the name and he's unhappy that we haven't answered it.
Okay. What is the question?
I think the question is, are they going to change the name?
No, you got to at least wait 5 years.
And that's also not necessarily true, though. Jason Wright did kind of perpetuate that mentality here. the NFL does have rules on when you can change. A lot of people throw out the 5 years because that's kind of like the baseline. There are special exceptions to include, which is why Jared's question is valid here, is a new ownership can change the name, the branding, the clothing, and all that kind of stuff. That's not a gimme. They still have to go through approval process and everything like that.
There you go.
More than likely, they're not going to change the name, the uniforms, anything like that, because that is money. That costs money. So it costs money. It can get you money in the back end. So it's absolutely something that you could possibly see maybe a few years down the road. But it's not going to be the immediate thing, especially when you're talking about how much money is going into the sale, how much money is going to go into a new stadium, because that's going to be the first order of business for this ownership. So branding and stuff like that's going to be a while. Now, maybe this is your tinfoil hat time. Stoner hit me with the conspiracy music here. Maybe, just maybe, as he looks for that. There we go. The stadium deal gets done. We're due to get a new stadium in 2027. Okay, it's a few years from now. And the brand, without our input or anything like that, without all this craziness we did for the Commander's name, all of a sudden that new stadium, that's when a new name's debuted. That's when the new stuff is everything. That's not too crazy or far out there. Okay. But nothing this soon. Nothing that's happening there.
Now, to throw a wrench into that, that actually was not his question.
Oh, okay.
His actual question is the name of the Commanders to honor the military.
It is partly to honor the military.
There you go.
Yep. All right. Well, then I got way off track with that one. I got my conspiracy. Yeah, the name is partially to honor the military. Stoner and I are vets. So we can appreciate some of that. I personally am okay if we don't go that route, but that's another matter that we can have at some point. We can have a beer in the Sky Bar in Lexington, Virginia, and talk about why I want to not necessarily distance. And I'm a proud airman. Okay. Today is actually the first day of my what's called terminal leave. I'm retiring. So this beard is going to start growing out a lot more, but that's a good one. That's a good one. But that's, like I said, that's another matter as far as why the military ties are not necessarily my favorite thing in the world. But Michael, good joke here. So moving on from that, Andre Jones, again, just a piece there. One of the biggest gaps, Stoner, you kind of brought it up there, was a missing linebacker. Washington didn't draft a linebacker, and their undrafted free agent list here that I have in front of me also no linebacker.
Not a single one.
I'll read you off the names here as we have Kashmir Allen out of UCLA, wide receiver, Zion Bowens, Hawaii wide receiver, Mason Brooks, Ole Miss offensive lineman that they paid big money to as well. This kind of, I think it was $50,000, which is the highest I think you can pay an undrafted free agent to kind of swoo them in. We got our developmental QB to take over Jake Fromm, and that's Tim Demarat from Fordham.
How many touchdowns did he throw last year?
A lot. Xavier Henderson, safety out of Michigan State, defensive end Joshua Pryor out of Bowie State. Jalen Sample, Minnesota State wide receiver. Kendall Smith, safety out of Illinois. That Illinois defensive backfield must have just been like the most amazing.
84 Bears.
DBU, baby. That's the new DBU.
DJ Sturgis, Missouri Western, looks like CB. Mitchell Tinsley, Penn State wide receiver. Bryson Tremaine, wide receiver out of Stanford. This is a kid who's coming here after maybe got a good kind of word in from our new QB coach. And then Nick Whiteside out of Saginaw Valley, cornerback. So more defensive help there. Any of these names to you make a difference?
Any of these guys make the roster? I doubt it. There's the UCLA kid who seems to have a lot of quick twitch and can return some punts and kicks, and maybe he can battle for that last wide receiver spot / return man, and Mr. Steal Your Girl is going to be gone. Mr. Dax Milne take his spot. That seems to be the word, but I mean, he's an undrafted free agent. Let's not get carried away. And that quarterback, you sit him back there and he can be your number 4 and maybe you can hold on to him. But other than that, they're undrafted free agents for a reason. So sure. I wouldn't get too excited about any of them.
Jalen Sample, Roger's telling me that this is our big wide receiver. Where is that one? Sorry here. Yeah, Sample's a 6'6" big wide receiver. I wanted one of those. I like it. His RAS score, not too exciting, but I mean, again, Minnesota, you're taking this guy's an undrafted free agent, is a 5 on the RAS score. So maybe not necessarily athletic, but getting a big one. By the way, thanks to all those who are congratulating me. Air Force, 20 years. It's been fun, and we'll get this beard manscaped out, so they'll be good there. The athletic one though, Casimir Allen out of UCLA, that guy looks like he can absolutely fly and might be the difference maker that Washington is looking for.
Hold on.
As a kick returner, not
a difference
come on.
Maker?
As a kick returner, as a specialist in that regard,
yes,
absolutely.
I'm tired of fair catches all my life. I would want to run back.
Yeah, I would love to do something more than just be like, please don't punt or please don't drop this. Okay, I'm tired of that. I don't need the return of Devin Hester or anything like that. I just need somebody who at least brings a little bit of excitement out there. Stoner.
I don't want Gibby back there. I don't want Jahan Dotson back there. I want somebody who went to school and did this in his college career to do that. And that man is Kazir from UCLA. Dax is going to probably be your 4th or 5th wide receiver right now.
Dax ain't making this team if that guy makes the team.
He's making this team, bro. Outside of
then Dax is not.
Dotson, McLaurin, and Samuel. Who's next? De'Ami Brown? Maybe. Mm-hmm. After that, who's next?
Who cares?
Exactly. Dax Milne, and then you sign this kid. There's your 6. Alex Erickson's gone. Cam Sims been gone. And I know we've got that sample kid who's 6'6", but we don't use
he's a practice squad.
Yeah,
he's a practice squad guy.
Because for one, we don't get into the red zone that often for us to be able to use a 6'6" cut receiver. And second, Terry is our 50-50 ball catcher. So really a big wide receiver, we don't really use them. We waste them and try to convert them into tight ends, and then they decide to retire. Gandy Golden. What's his name from TCU, the other Dotson kid who's supposed to be our 50-50 guy. How'd that work out? So I don't care if he's 6'6" or 7'6". We don't use big receivers the correct way at all anyway. So, and I daggone for sure ain't going to use one who's an undrafted free agent. So yeah, Dax Milne is going to make this squad as a receiver. Sorry to break your heart.
No, that's fine.
As a receiver, not a kick returner.
I still got a problem with this dude over here.
Difference maker in the punt return game.
An undrafted free agent is going to to be a difference maker.
Steven Sims.
Literally just talking about him as a return specialist.
Yeah, bro.
An undrafted free agency player can absolutely make a difference maker.
All right, how about this?
Steven Sims
just bring the ball out to the 30-yard line. I'm tired of sitting at the 25. How many times, Stoner, did you bet? Put a little dollar on, this is the game that they're going to get to the 45-yard line and it not happen.
Yeah.
Kick returns with Gibby back there.
We did not need Gibby back there.
Now you have a guy in Casimir Allen who's, by the way, his RAS score is horrendous.
Let me just say this right now. And you guys are talking a lot of smack about an undrafted free agent that nobody had ever heard of until 2 days ago. He's not making the team. How's that? He's not making the team.
It could not. We're talking about who has the
You
best
said
chance.
he's a difference maker.
I said he has the chance, Stoner, to be a difference maker.
You said
I said he could be a difference maker. He could be.
He can't. Sorry, he can't.
Out of all the players that I listed off, Stoner,
he's
got the best chance, I think, at being a difference maker.
As a punt returner / kick returner.
Strictly as a return specialist.
The bar. If you want to take the undrafted
do we need to replay you moving the bar earlier?
Okay, fine. But now I'm calling you out on it. If you guys want to say he has the best chance out of the undrafted free agents, maybe I can I can buy into that.
I do think he has the best chance.
He's not going to be a difference maker on this team as a returner. Period. End of story. Stop.
Then who will be? That's already on the squad. Who?
I don't know that they have one or they will have one.
Okay, that's my point. This guy was in school doing that for pretty much all his career. He's a natural born person at that position.
Mm-hmm.
It's not like we're taking a Gibby or
how many teams are out there in college football?
A lot.
In Division One. Let's just say, I don't know,
a lot.
122? 122 guys doing this.
A lot.
So 122 different guys were doing exactly what this Casimir Allen was doing.
Okay. How many of them were really that good at it, though?
Okay, 50. Was he that good at it? Or did he have one that he returned to the house?
He had something the team saw was something special. We're dreaming big. We are dreaming big. Stoner, that's fair to call us out. We're dreaming big here.
We want actual punt returns is what we want.
Yep. I'm sorry to Dax Milne, but I just can't. I just don't want another guy out there. Just
go ahead and run some routes.
Please don't fumble.
Steal some more girls.
I want some exciting. Want something exciting here. By the way, yes, RAS scores, the athletic scores. It doesn't matter. Can they play? Here's the thinking behind the athletic scores. Okay, if you have somebody who is physically gifted, you try to teach them the game. It's a lot easier than getting a person who knows the game. Myself, Trev, and Stoner might all know the game and know where we're supposed to be and everything. But if we are a second slower than we need to be, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if I know where I'm supposed to be. If I can't get to where I'm supposed to be in the time I'm needed, it doesn't matter. So that's why, especially late round guys, I like to look at their athletic ability, because if they're at least athletically gifted, then I can teach them the game. That's the only reason why I put that out there. Yep, Andrew, he is totally a negative Nelly today. Absolutely.
Who I am?
Yeah, you guys are such a negative Nelly.
Free agents. How many touchdown returns did Casimir Allen have in his 17 years that he was in UCLA?
Yeah. I think we're dreaming here on his ability.
It's 0.
Yep,
it's gonna work.
Fair point.
Who had as many as he did? This guy. This guy had as many as he did. Many touchdowns, returns, touchdowns. I did.
Speaking of what you're capable of, a lot of people not thinking that, or like when I brought up the 50 passes per game, like the team doesn't trust them, and people are like, "Oh, if he's passing that many times, then Washington's losing." Patrick Mahomes, only using him because of the EB reference here, did in fact throw average 38 pass attempts a game. So if he averaged 38, he probably hit 50 a couple times there. So let's not throw it out. This is a passing league. Sometimes you pass to move the ball, and because it's a passing league, you need those defensive backs. That's what Washington did with these first 2 rounds. They neglected the linebacker position. Now there happens to be a linebacker out there right now whose 5th-year option was declined. Does Washington go for him? We'll talk about that here coming up in the cool down.
The Cool Down is brought to you by Manscaped. Ever since my Nathan started using their products, I can't cool down. Fellas, trust me. Go to Manscaped right now and get 20% off and free shipping by using the code REF. Your ladies will appreciate you. Now back to Trev, Stoner, and my Manscaped man, Nathan.
You heard the lady. Get out there to manscaped.com and get yourself 20% off and some free shipping. And I'm going to have to get the clipper. I don't have that one yet, but as I grow out this beard, I'm going to have to get that. I got the Lawnmower 2.0 that keeps the hair out of my nose and ears, and I highly recommend that you get that. And you can get yourself a little discount. Father's Day is coming up. It's not too long. I know Mother's Day is there. So maybe you manscape yourself for Mother's Day, or you talk to your special lady and get them to give you a Father's Day gift there in June. Stoner.
Just want to clear up is Tommy T. He did have 1 kick return, but that was in 2021, not 2022. And he never returned 1 single punt in his entire college career. Just want to clear that up about Casimir Allen.
Well, While now that we've done cleaning up duty from the
gotta-
game, that's fair. That's fair.
Sorry.
That are everything correct.
Sorry.
Let's clean up this particular show. Actually, I should have used the cleanup on the Manscaped reference. That would have been much sharper. I'm off my game right now, I guess.
Okay.
Now let's talk about what's next here for Washington as they hit into the second period. Washington did not earn a compensation pick from this free agency period.
Okay.
So
From this past off season.
This off season that just happened, the current off season, right? So they're not going to, they were able to get a third rounder from Sheriff and they got one for Tim Settle signing somewhere last year. This year, they didn't have any quality players being picked off by anybody. So there won't be any compensation picks for next year's draft. Now, all that is settled before the draft, because now anybody who gets cut doesn't count towards the compensation. So if Chase Roulier, if Logan Thomas, if these guys are cap casualties at this point, they won't count towards the compensation. Well, there's no comp picks, but this also means that's true for other teams. So if other teams cut a player who is worthwhile signing, but it just saves them a few bucks, that is a player that Washington might want to look at. Now, a player who's probably not going to get cut, but could be a potential trade target is just up 95, and that's Patrick Queen out of Baltimore, a linebacker. Fifth-year option, not picked up. A lot of fifth-year options not being picked up. That 2020 draft was just not good for a lot of teams. Linebacker as a position as a whole is being devalued. You're seeing even Micah Parsons switch from linebacker to defensive end. And me personally, because he played a lot of at the line anyways, this is namely for money purposes. A defensive end is going to get paid more than a linebacker, just valued more. And linebackers, again, I'm talking about putting out 6 defensive backs instead of having some linebackers out there. Washington didn't get a linebacker. Would it be worth kicking the tires and seeing if you can get Patrick Queen for pretty cheap?
Yeah.
Pretty cheap being the key words.
Yeah, pretty cheap. And kicking the tires is another key word.
I think Baltimore still really likes him.
Mm-hmm.
They just didn't want to pay that kind of money after they paid Roquan Smith $100 million. They don't want to pay. And they have another guy there. I can't think of his name off the top of my head.
And they just drafted a third round linebacker as well.
Yeah, maybe that's who I was thinking of. So he's kind of the odd man out. So they're not going to give him a whole lot of money. Even relatively speaking, as a linebacker, you're not going to get a ton. You're still going to get, $14 million for him if they had picked up his option. So they're not going to do that. What is Baltimore going to give up? That's the thing. I don't think, at least this year, they're not going to give up a whole lot for him. I mean, they're gonna ask for a lot. So Washington is going to have to come correct. And I don't think Washington's going to do that. I'd do it. I like Patrick Queen. I think he's balling. But again, you're trying to improve something that's already really good. The defense is already really good, and you just added 2 pieces to it. So, I mean, it never hurts. Never hurts to get another guy in there, but he's got to be cheap, either money or trade-wise.
I know, we're adding to a defense that's really good, but our linebacker depth is the weakest part of our defense.
I think so.
Are in the position, because after Jamin Davis and Cody Barton, you got Scooter Harris, Milo Eifler,
Mayo, your boy Mayo's back, right?
Yep.
What's his
Miracle
name?
Whip is back.
Miracle Whip is back. So,
yeah, you're right.
Yeah,
They need depth, but I don't think he's a depth guy. If
we'll make him a starter.
He beaten Jamin Davis and Patrick Queen would be starting next to each other.
Anybody hate that? A Patrick Queen, Jamin Davis linebacking crew?
Not for the right price, yeah.
If you have 2 linebackers out there, like you said, maybe there's going to be a lot of times where it's just Jamin Davis out there. But if you have situations where they've got their personnel is run heavy, and so you match it with 2 linebackers, Patrick Queen and Jamin Davis, you're not hating that.
No, I like that a lot. But
I don't know what you got to give up for him.
That's why I can't wait for this new ownership to come in, or new front office or whatever, because we're not aggressive, guys. And I want to be aggressive at least at some point in the offseason at some position.
Mm-hmm.
Just try it and report it, let it leak out that you're being aggressive, because this
They did have some aggressive discussions, at least, right? When it talked about QB, that's when they ended up with Wentz and everything. But Roger agrees with you, Trev. Roger says, no, they won't go after a linebacker. Scared money don't make money. They are too scared to make any moves for any above average players. They don't think that way.
Yeah.
And it's possible. And I don't think that linebacker's where they want to go. And maybe there's an offensive lineman that is of Chase Roulier's caliber, which, by the way, I think Chase Roulier is an excellent center when healthy. Unfortunately, availability is the best ability, and he's lacked that the past 2 seasons.
And
do you
think
he's getting good money too? Yeah. Is there anybody out there, maybe an offensive lineman, that you could see Washington picking up here in the post-draft free agency period?
1,000,000,000%. I think that might happen. That doesn't make a lot of sense to say 1,000,000,000% it might happen. I'm saying there's a good possibility because somebody's going to shake loose. There's going to be guys that get shake loose. We see it all the time, right? When somebody gets shaken loose and everybody on Twitter puts their eye emoji out there to say, ooh, Washington should be looking at him. So it's going to happen. Whether or not Washington is going to spend the money to go get him, or even if they have the money at that time, because right now they don't have any money.
And you're
going to have to move it around.
And then you got to wonder if the candidates are going to be, good vets but have an injury history. Is it really worth doing that when you can just start a developmental guy in their place? Like, it's going to be O-line is so tricky because a lot of O-lines in free agency and after preseason, whatever, are just big names. They're not quite as serviceable as they used to be. It's like towards the end of their prime or injury history, but their name is sexy. So it's like, is it really worth doing that for a lineman who?
Well, Washington this is exactly how they got Leno.
Yeah.
Right. Leno came available after the draft and before the season started, and Chicago decided they were going to go with the young guy that they drafted at his position, and they let him go. And Washington said, we'll take that. And that's worked out pretty well. Not the greatest, but not too bad. Yeah.
There is a young tackle of that kind of same mold in Isaiah Wynn, who is a free agent who's still available, offensive tackle from New England Patriots.
I just remember
former Georgia Bulldog.
I remember Chase Young beating him quick and sacking Tom Brady preseason. And ever since that one play, I've been like, I'm good on Isaiah Wynn.
If Chase Young is beating him, then you're probably really, really bad.
I know, but
hot shots on Chase Young here. Stop it. Yeah. They're the notable name, by the way, in the SB Nation's top 13 still available at number 12. You guys want to take a guess?
Landon Collins. No, I don't even know if he's available.
Matt Ioannidis.
Oh wow, he's out there.
Yeah,
he came from Carolina recently. He can stay.
Yeah, we don't need him.
So kind of an interesting name there. Yeah, I think that the money thing is going to be kind of an interesting area. You still have Donovan Smith from Tampa Bay, who's
just signed with the
here.
Chiefs today.
Did he just sign with the Chiefs today?
$9 million.
I mean,
Cameron Fleming, offensive tackle formerly of Denver, 30 years old.
I don't know anything about him.
He's pretty.
They've got to shake some money loose though,
but
I think they will.
But we just spent a lot, like not a lot, but didn't we just spend some money on offensive? I don't know, man.
They didn't spend a lot. They spent $8 million a year on Wiley, and then Gates got $3 million a year. I think.
All right. Well, since we.
So what do you want, Trev? What do you want? I have a list in front of me. What position do you want?
O-line, but just go get one more. Don't go get more than one because
those were the offensive linemen that were worth their salt as far as
So go get one more of those, but don't.
I guess Dalton Risner, Denver guard, only 28.
Because we drafted some, we went out and got some already. We still have some that we have to decide if we want to keep or not. So one more. But then you got to get a linebacker, bro. I know we might not start in like a 3-4, a 4-3, or more than two linebackers on the field, but we got to have depth. Our field is bad. People get injured all the time. Our team is injury ridden. It's NFL. Like, we need depth, and the depth we have is not serviceable for anything outside of special teams. So you need to go look at like a good second, third down I don't know, pass rusher, situational pass rusher, linebacker.
Edge is different than what you just
Well, like
if you're looking for a linebacker,
that's linebacker / DN that can play both. Something like that. That's where you should go and spend your money on free agency, because you address the secondary, you address the D line by the tagging or whatever, the long-term deal and fifth option. Just go get you some linebacker to help.
Jalen Smith's out there, Quan Alexander.
Yeah, go get
Quan Evans.
Yeah, see,
there was actually a bigger name here that I didn't mention.
Yeah,
you sound that's what I keep hearing when you mention those linebackers. I keep hearing John Bostic. That's all.
These are significantly younger John Bostic.
You have to have it, because if we lose Jamin, bro, we're toast in the middle of the field.
Yeah, who's left?
Anthony Barr would be the Bostic that out of all this.
Yeah, he would
31.
Sure.
So, yeah, I'm not. I understand where you're coming from, Trev. I completely do. I understand, and as I love the linebacker position. It's just not. I don't think needed. Right.
So if Jamin goes down, who's playing?
Yeah, bro, it's needed.
You're playing Cody Barton.
And Milo Eifler, yeah.
So again, you're probably looking at only having 1-2 linebackers out there at most. So if Jamin Davis goes down, you got Cody Barton, and then you're bringing up Mayo.
Oh,
you're probably Milo.
And you don't want to upgrade that.
I'm not saying it's not worth looking at, but it's also not worth paying big money for.
No, I don't think anybody's saying
you know what you can do here. You can get somebody like we just got Ridgeway off of Dallas's practice squad.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. There's probably going to be a linebacker who ends up on somebody's practice squad that Washington could be like, okay, we're going to take this guy now, and we're going to start him over Kalike Hudson.
He got to be gone. That man ain't no hit man at all.
Tommy T bringing up Hudson just as I was talking about. I think Kalike Hudson, I thought that I wanted him to work out. I think that problem is he's too much of a tweener, and it's not in a good way. It's
he belongs in the XFL. He ain't ready for NFL yet.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
Ever?
Okay.
Yeah. So what's next, guys? If it's not a linebacker, if it's not getting an offensive lineman from the thing, what are the next step? Obviously, technically speaking, the schedule's got to come out. Maybe Hard Knocks, who knows? But what's next here as we're looking at a picture of McLaurin running over EB in the visuals here. If you're watching us on YouTube, great picture, by the way. Absolutely, M Fails is amazing. What's next for these players as they're working out right now? What do we need to see? What do we need to hear?
You know what we need? You need to see Howell and McLaurin and Dotson and Samuel and Brown all out on a beach in California, just running routes and throwing it and just building chemistry. That's what I need to see. I need to see all in. I need to see commitment. I need to see these guys believing in each other and saying, we know this is what we're going with. So let's start working when we're not allowed to be working at the facility. Let's still do it.
I would love to see that. I would love to see Howell working with them. I want to see, and I'm a howler, self-admitted howler. I want to see Sam Howell close the door. Like Stoner will tell you, this isn't a real QB competition. It's going to be Sam Howell. Mm-hmm. I want it to not be a real QB competition because Sam Howell just blows the doors off of everybody's expectations.
I agree.
I want McLaurin and Dotson and Samuel to be like, oh my goodness, we got him. Like, this is amazing too. Why didn't we go to this guy sooner type mentality? So we'll see. Yes, HT Sam should hold a camp. Would love to see that.
Mm-hmm.
Would love to see that.
Mm-hmm.
Michael wants to see a kicker signed. It might be something we see in.
I think they did sign. Did they not sign a kicker?
No.
I thought they brought in a kicker, just a camp body. Maybe not.
I want to see defensive continuity. I want to see the D line on the beach doing some drills. I want to see Chase Young and Montez Sweat with the line out there working together situationally.
Bad news for you, Trev. You ain't gonna see it.
I know you're not.
I'm just happy to see Chase Young at these workouts. That's a step in the right direction. I know that's what I'm saying. I'm saying that's a step in the right direction. Stoner's being super negative Nelly.
Yeah, I know he is, bro. I'm telling you, Chase Young is going to have double-digit sacks this year. I'm calling it right now.
Bet it. Take it. I'll take it. $1,000.
He's having double-digit sacks this year, and I'm saying it right now.
All right, I'll take that.
Long-term dollar on that one. Trout says, I just want to see our offense at its full potential, which has been locked behind needing a QB for years at this point.
You know what I love?
This is one of those things we talked about as we've missed. There's not really a whole lot of offensive players picked in this draft for Washington, even in undrafted free agency, some kind of run-of-the-mill wide receivers. There's a lot of faith being put into EB to be able to turn this around.
I mean,
and as guys, if we're top 5 defense again, we've said this the last couple of years, wouldn't a top 15 offense be enough to wreak havoc?
Yes.
Yeah,
it would be enough
for sure.
And they're certainly thinking that that's what they have with this tight end room, with Sam Howell and with EB. And I don't get it, but I hope I'm wrong.
But EB gets it. Maybe he sees something in the tighter room that we obviously don't see, which he obviously does because he's on the field and sees them every day. But literally, maybe all he's asking the tight ends to do is something they can do. We don't know that. But I know what I love to see right now that I haven't seen, at least in my tenure as a Washington fan. EB out there running drills with the receivers, like actually physically being involved rather than just standing on the sideline with a visor on and going, yeah, that's good. Like he's actually,
we'll see. Hopefully it pays dividends. All that's going to be.
You just like to see, but it's just something you like to see from our staff.
No, it's just like
coming out.
Yeah, Tommy T saying that I just want to see it on the field. I don't care about seeing them do stuff before camps, and it's kind of that same mentality. You want to see this make dividends here on on the field. When it comes to week 1, I want to see this team be absolutely just the team we've needed them to be. Kevin, thanks for joining us here. Kevin, more pressure on Sam than EB. If the offense fails, EB is going to say he needs a QB. Absolutely. You've got scapegoats galore there. So there's a lot of pressure. I think the faith is being put behind EB being able to turn this offense from bottom third into at least mid-tier. And he thinks he can do that with Sam Howell. And if he can't, then you're right. Sam Howell's going to get thrown under the bus, and we're going to be drafting a QB in the first round. So all that could be what's next for Washington. Well, before Stoner has to run back to the bathroom for a third time today, we're going to wrap this up. What's next for us is you can see us on Wednesday at 7:30 here on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter. Make sure you hit that like button. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Appreciate everyone jumping in there. Trout, Tommy T, HT, Michael, David, and Kevin joining in a little bit later. Hawk TV, JP6, good seeing you here as well. We appreciate everybody tuning in. And until next time.
I got nothing because I got to pee. I got to pee.
Be a fan.